Or do you? Excellent. Hi, everyone. Today is our usual class, but with a very special purpose of, at the beginning of our class, we're going to do the sadhana of the medicine Buddha for our dear member William, who's there. I don't know if you can see in the gallery view. William is with us and in Mexico with Rebecca, his ex-wife and caretaker, and with Matthew, his son. Hi, Richard. I can't see. It's the KT has another name there. Jess Vega. Jess Vega.
I'm at Jess's house. Hi.
John, hi.
So PT.
So we're going to do a medicine Buddha sadhana, which you all should have. This is the one by Ngawang Losang Dempa Geltsen. And about 4 or 5 pages in is where we're going to start, where it starts medicine Buddha sadhana. So just let me just mention a little bit about this. This is one of William's favorite practices, and they have been reciting, Rebecca in their house in Mexico has been reciting the medicine Buddha mantra along with Right Tara mantra and other things. Medicine Buddha was, from the Buddhist point of view, traditional point of view, actual emanation of Buddha. Western scholars sometimes in their Western books, they call it the cult of medicine Buddha. The actual name is not in Sanskrit or Tibetan, it's not medicine Buddha. It's actually Vaishajya Guru, which means healing teacher, or you could say Vaishajya is medicine, but it's more like healing, or medicine teacher, someone who teaches you medicine. In Tibetan, we say menla. Men generally means medicine, and la is not the same la as in deity like deva, but it's the second syllable or the first syllable of the word Lama. So it's the medicine Lama, although commonly referred to as the medicine Buddha. There are 7, beginning with the what is referred to as the medicine Buddha, who is of lapis lazuli color, who's called the Vaidurya Prabharajaya. Vaidurya means lapis lazuli color, Prabha means light, and so forth. So the other ones have their own individual names, and in the visualization that we'll do, there are 7 of them. Sometimes 8 medicine Buddhas are referred to. You might hear the 8 medicine Buddhas. In that case, you add Shakyamuni Buddha in addition to these 7. But here it's mainly these 7. So I guess we're all here. Hi, Shanka, Louise, Jennifer, Paul, John, Mikhail. So we're going to begin with this particular sadhana, the one that was sent to you by, let me just again check, Ngawang Losang Tempa Geltsen, about 5 or 6 pages in where it starts, where it says medicine Buddha sadhana. So we're going to begin now. The first is kind of a visualization of the refuge field. About 4 inches above the crown of my head is a lotus flower. In the center of the lotus is a white moon disk. And seated on the moon disk is my root guru, the Dharmakaya essence of all the Buddhas, in the form of the medicine Buddha, or Vaishajya Guru. So you can see in that image, that's Vaishajya Guru is on the bottom, blue in color. The lotus represents his wisdom mind, and the moon disk represents his bodhicitta mind. He is blue in color, and his body radiates blue light. His right hand in the mudra of granting sublime realizations. As you can see in that Tanka representation, his right hand is over his right knee with this palm outward, like Tara also, in the mudra of granting sublime realizations, that rests on his right knee and holds the stem of the Arura plant between his thumb and first finger. So that plant, you can see, comes up and sort of blossoms near at the top of his head up there. The Arura plant is one of the universal medicinal plants. Its roots, its stem, its leaves, its flowers, and all of the parts of it are medicinal. His left hand is in the mudra of concentration, like Shakyamuni Buddha's is, and holds a lapis lazuli bowl filled with nectar and medicinal plants. He is seated in the full Vajra position and is wearing the 3 red-colored robes of a monk. That usually means we say saffron-colored robes of a monk. He has all the signs and qualities of a Buddha. The Guru, medicine Buddha, encompasses all the Buddhas, the Dharma, and Sangha. Imagine his mind as the Buddha, his speech as the Dharma, and his holy body as the Sangha. Okay, so you could put up the text from here on, Snehi. Thank you. So just below that is we've gone through that visualization. We're going to take refuge and generate bodhicitta. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and the other perfections, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. So you can think of the medicine Buddhas, as it was mentioned, his mind as the Dharma, his speech as the Dharma, his body as the Buddha, and mind is the Buddha, his speech is the Dharma, his body is the Sangha. When we take refuge, by my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha myself in order to benefit all sentient beings. Once again, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and the other perfections, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. And below that, the 4 immeasurables. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. So this is referring to not just samsaric happiness, although it includes it, but dharma happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So the causes of suffering being the second noble truth, the karma that we've created in the past that ripens in our suffering, and the causes of more karma, which is the afflictions. May all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness that is without suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from both attachment and hatred, such as holding some close and holding others distant. So we'll repeat that 2 times. May all sentient beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. See if you can generate that within your mind stream, that thought, the thought of loving kindness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. This is the mind of compassion. May all sentient beings never be separated from the mind that is without suffering. This is the mind of sympathetic joy. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from both attachment and hatred, holding some close and others distant. This is the immeasurable equanimity. And one more time, may all sentient beings have happiness in the cause of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness that is without suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, being attached to some and hating others, holding some close and others distant. And now, as a basis, on the basis of that, generating special bodhicitta, especially for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will quickly, very quickly, through the practice of highest yoga tantra, attain the precious state of a perfect and complete Buddhahood. For this reason, I will practice the yoga method of Guru Bishanja Guru, of Baishanje Guru, the healing Buddha, or the Guru medicine Buddha. Especially for the benefit of sentient beings, I will quickly, very quickly, attain the precious state of perfect and complete Buddhahood. So this is special bodhicitta with respect to practicing not only Tantra in general, because it says quickly, but very quickly means in this very life that refers to highest yoga Tantra. For this reason, I will practice the yoga method of Guru Medicine Buddha. Especially for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will quickly, very quickly, attain the precious state of perfect and complete Buddhahood. For this reason, I will practice the yoga method of Guru Medicine Buddha. Now, the 7-limb puja. I prostrate to Guru Medicine Buddha. So you can either just think that in your mind, or you can put your hands at your heart, or physically make the mudra of prostration to your body, speech, and mind. Each and every offering, including those actually performed and those mentally transformed, I present to you. So those of you who have offerings on your altars, those are actually performed. I think Rebecca probably has some in their space. Mentally transformed means just visualizing offerings, outer offerings, inner offerings, such offerings. I confess all non-virtuous actions accumulated since beginningless time. So what this means is applying the 4 opponent forces, recognizing the negative actions that we've done, feeling remorse, making a determination not to do them again in the future, and accumulating virtuous actions as antidotes to them, as we're doing now. I rejoice in the virtues of both ordinary and Arya beings, noble beings. So ordinary beings, those who have not yet realized emptiness, whose virtuous actions can be great, but those of the Arya beings, the noble beings that have realized emptiness, all of their deeds are much more powerful. So we rejoice in those, rejoicing the deeds of the great teachers, the practitioners, the members of our centers, and so forth. As our guide, I request you, O Buddha, Medicine Buddha, to please abide well and turn the wheel of Dharma until samsara ends. So our gurus, the Dalai Lamas, and others who manifest can be thought of as being manifestations of the healing Buddha, the medicine Buddha. All virtues I think it's missing one line here it does have both. It says, please abide well and turn the wheel of Dharma. So there's two of the 7 limbs. All virtues, both my own and those of others, I dedicate to the ripening of the 2 bodhicittas, the conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta, which is the realization of emptiness within the continuum of someone who has conventional bodhicitta. I dedicate the virtues also to the attainment of Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Then short mandala. This ground, anointed with perfume and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun, and the moon, I imagine as a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy such a pure land. And then the inner mandala, this comes from the special practices of the Vajrayogini lineage. The objects of my attachment, aversion, and ignorance, such as friends to whom I'm attached, enemies to whom I have aversion, and strangers who I'm blissfully ignorant of. The objects of my attachment, aversion, and ignorance, friends, enemies, and strangers, and my body, wealth, and enjoyments, without any sense of loss, I offer this collection. Please accept it with pleasure and bless me with the freedom from the 3 poisonous minds. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. And then a prayer of request. I beseech you, Bhagavan Vaishajya Guru, medicine guru, whose sky-colored body of lapis lazuli signifies omniscient wisdom and compassion as vast as limitless space. Please grant me your blessings. So remember, we're visualizing the medicine guru on the crown of our head. I beseech you, compassionate medicine guru, who hold in your right hand the king of medicines, symbolizing your vow to help all pitiful, tormented sentient beings plagued by the 424 diseases. Please grant me your blessings. I beseech you, compassionate medicine guru, who hold in your left hand a bowl of nectar, symbolizing your vow to give the glorious, undying nectar of the Dharma that eliminates the degenerations of sickness, old age, and death. Please grant me your blessings. So particularly here, William visualizing medicine Buddha holding that nectar, maybe just a little bit tipping so the nectar begins to flow down into his body to eliminate the degenerations of sickness, aging, and death. Then the visualization, above the crown of medicine Buddha, Guru Medicine Buddha, is a wish-granting jewel, which is the essence of my guru, my root guru. Above that is the Buddha named Delightful King of Clear Knowing, whose body is coral red in color. His right hand is in the mudra of bestowing sublime realizations, like the medicine Buddha himself, and his left hand is in the mudra of concentration. Above him is the medicine Buddha called Melodious Ocean of Proclaimed Dharma, with a dark pink colored body. His right hand in the mudra of bestowing sublime realizations, left in the mudra of concentration. Above him is the Buddha called Supreme Glory, free of sorrow, light pink in color, with both hands in the mudra of concentration. So here, both of his hands are at his navel, sort of clasped in the meditative mudra. Above him is the Buddha stainless, excellent gold, who is gold in color, right hand in the mudra of expounding the Dharma. That means at his heart chakra, with his thumb and first finger together and the other three fingers standing upright, and his left hand in the mudra of concentration. Above him is the Buddha named King of Melodious Sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus. So he has a much longer name, was yellow in color, right hand in the mudra of expounding the Dharma, and left hand in the mudra of concentration. Above him is the Buddha, renowned, glorious King of excellent signs, who is gold in color, right hand the mudra of expounding the Dharma, and the left hand in the mudra of concentration. So we're going to recite each verse 7 times. So we're going to be starting from the top. The last one that we mentioned here, the Buddha, renowned of glorious excellent signs. And we're going to recite this verse requesting their, it said that, as it says here, please may the pledges you made ripen upon myself and all sentient beings right now. All of these medicine Buddhas in previous lives, like the 35 confession Buddhas, made particular vows in their past when they became Buddhas to be able to heal sentient beings, not only from the sicknesses of this life and from the inevitable sufferings of aging and death and so forth, but also to lead them on the path that leads to everlasting blissful happiness and health and so forth. The Dalai Lama has said all of these medicine Buddhas are our main guides this lifetime. Lama Zopa Rinpoche used to emphasize this again and again. So we're going to begin with the first one on the top request. To the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, renowned, glorious King of excellent signs, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, renowned, glorious King of excellent signs, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, renowned, glorious King of excellent signs, I prostrate and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, renowned, glorious King of excellent signs, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. Fifth one, to the Buddha, to the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, renowned, glorious King of excellent signs, I prostrate, offer. When we say offer, imagine emanating Samantabhadra's offerings, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, renowned, glorious King of excellent signs, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, renowned, glorious King of excellent signs, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. Please, may the pledges you made ripen upon myself and all sentient beings right now. May all my pure prayers succeed immediately. Then the next, to the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, King of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, Samyak, fully enlightened Buddha, King of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, that means fully enlightened Buddha, King of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus, I prostrate and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, King of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, lotus, I prostrate and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, King of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagawan, Tathagata, fully enlightened Buddha, king of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus, I prostrate and go for refuge. To the Bhagawan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, king of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus, I prostrate and go for refuge. I think I may have left one out, so one more time. To the Bhagawan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, king of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of skill, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus, I prostrate and go for refuge. Please, may the vows, the pledges you made in your previous lives to benefit sentient beings ripen upon myself and all sentient beings right now. We're praying and asking them to motivate in that way that karma to benefit us, may it ripen right now. May all my pure prayers succeed immediately. Next, to the Bhagawan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, stainless, excellent gold, great jewel who accomplishes all vows, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagawan, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, stainless, excellent gold, great jewel who accomplishes all vows, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagawan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, stainless, excellent gold, great jewel who accomplishes all vows, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, stainless, excellent gold, great jewel who accomplishes all vows, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, stainless, excellent gold, great jewel who accomplishes all vows, I prostrate to you, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagawan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, stainless, excellent gold, great jewel who accomplishes all vows, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagawan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, stainless, excellent gold, great jewel who accomplishes all vows, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To say all the parts of the name is significant, so it's pointing out particularly which Buddha we're requesting. Please may the pledges you made ripen upon myself and all sentient beings right now. May all my pure prayers succeed immediately. And then the next, to the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, supreme glory, free from sorrow, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, supreme glory, free from sorrow, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, supreme glory, free from sorrow, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, supreme glory, free from sorrow, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, supreme glory, free from sorrow, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, supreme glory, free from sorrow, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. Finally, to the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, supreme glory, free from sorrow, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. Please, may the pledges you made, I request you that the pledges you made ripen upon myself and all sentient beings right now. May all my pure prayers succeed immediately. And the next, to the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, melodious ocean of proclaimed Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, melodious ocean of proclaimed Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, melodious ocean of proclaimed Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, melodious ocean of proclaimed Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, melodious ocean of proclaimed Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, melodious ocean of proclaimed Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, melodious ocean of proclaimed Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. I've lost count. I think one more. To the Bhagawan, Tathagata, fully, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, melodious ocean of proclaimed Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. May the pledges you made in your previous life ripen upon myself and all sentient beings right now. May all my pure prayers succeed immediately. Then, to the Bhagawan Tathagata, fully enlightened Buddha, delightful King of clear knowing, supreme wisdom of ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagawan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, delightful King of clear knowing, supreme wisdom of an ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, delightful King of clear knowing, supreme wisdom of an ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, delightful King of clear knowing, supreme wisdom of an ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, delightful King of clear knowing, supreme wisdom of an ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, delightful King of clear knowing, supreme wisdom of an ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, delightful King of clear knowing, supreme wisdom of an ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. Finally, to the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, delightful King of clear knowing, supreme wisdom of an ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. I request, please, may the pledges you made your previous lives ripen upon myself and all sentient beings right now. May all my pure prayers succeed immediately. Then finally to the lapis lazuli Buddha, medicine guru, on the crown of my head, the others having absorbed into him, will absorb into him. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, medicine guru, King of lapis light, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, medicine guru, King of lapis light, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, medicine guru, King of lapis light, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, medicine guru, King of lapis light, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, medicine guru, King of lapis light, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Samyak Sambuddha, medicine guru, King of lapis light, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, medicine guru, King of lapis light, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, medicine guru, King of lapis light, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. And one last time, to the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, fully enlightened Buddha, medicine guru, King of lapis light, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. Please, by Shanzha Guru, may the pledges you made ripen upon myself, upon William especially, and all sentient beings right now. May all my pure prayers succeed immediately. So then, granting your request from the heart and holy bodies of the King of Medicine, Guru, Medicine Buddha, by Shadja Guru, infinite rays of white light pour down, completely filling your body from head to toe. They purify all your diseases and afflictions. The diseases eventually being the karmic result of the afflictions, right? Due to spirits and their causes, and all your negative karma and mental obscurations. Imagine that white light streaming down, having requested elaborately in this way, like reciting mantras many, many times, getting closer to the deity here, getting closer to the medicine Buddhas that have absorbed into the lapis lazuli guru. The light rays pour down twice more, each time filling your body with blissful, clear, clean light, which you absorb. Then a replica of Guru Medicine Buddha by Shadriguru dissolves into you. So that means from the visualized by Shadriguru on your crown, as though taking a, putting a wick of a candle next to a lit candle, a duplicate comes out of the body. It dissolves into you. Your body, oops, I just had a little wasp on my head. Your body and the enlightened body, speech, and mind of Medicine Buddha are inseparable oneness. Then you dissolve into light. For those of you who have received the Medicine Buddha empowerment at some time, initiation or blessing, when the Dalai Lama has given, you can actually visualize yourself as the Medicine Buddha from this clear light state. Those of you who have not at all received any kind of empowerment, you can still visualize the Medicine Buddha in front. Your wisdom manifesting emptiness transforms into light, and the light transforms into you as Medicine Buddha, or if you, without empowerment, to Medicine Buddha in front. Not inherently existent Medicine Buddha. Rather, you are an illusory light body in the form of the Medicine Buddha. So that doesn't demean your standing as divine pride of being Medicine Buddha. What it means is that you're not inherently existent, which is one of the errors of practice. At your heart appears a lotus and a moon disk, or within the heart of the Buddha in front, if you had not received empowerment, on a lotus and moon disk. Standing in the center of the moon disk is the blue syllable Hum, surrounded by the syllables of the mantra. As you recite the mantra, visualize rays of light radiating out in all directions from the syllable at your heart or the syllable at the heart of the Medicine Buddha in front. The light rays pervade all sentient beings of the 6 realms, the hells, the Preta realms, the animals, the humans, the asuras, and the Deva realms. Through your great love, wishing them to have happiness, and through your great compassion, wishing them to be free from all sufferings, they are purified of all diseases and afflictions due to spirits and their causes, all their negative karma, and also free of all their negative karma and mental obscurations. So this is very powerful. So you're motivating that light spontaneously from your heart chakra or from the heart chakra of the Buddha in front to do this particular action spontaneously. When we become Buddhas, there's no kind of need for motivation. It automatically, the light radiates with replicas of ourself as Medicine Buddha and other manifestations, just the light itself purifying sentient beings. Then visualize the light rays radiate out again, this time blessing the minds of sentient beings with all the realizations from Guru devotion up to the fully enlightened state. So all of the stages of realization of the stages of the path, the Lan Rim. Sometimes those light rays can be visualized as golden yellow color. So now we're going to recite the Medicine Guru by Guru mantra. So this one is, so we've put up here in the sadhana, in the second line, it says Prabha Rajaya. It should be Rajaya, like Raja meaning emperor or king. So Snehi has put up the more corrected version of this mantra. This is the mantra we're going to recite, the long mantra 7 times. And then below that, the short mantra, which is just the last part of the long mantra. So we're going to begin, we'll recite the long mantra 7 times and the short mantra 21 times. So just to let you know, Namo Bhagavate is talking about, when we talk about Bhagavan, Vaishajya Guru is the name of Medicine Buddha, the healing guru. Vaidurya is the name of lapis lazuli. Prabha Rajaya means king of light, so king of lapis lazuli light, as was in some of the praises. Tadyata means it is like this. No, that's not Tadyata. Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya. Tadyata means it is like this. Om Baishaje, Maha Baishaje. Then in brackets it has another Baishaje. Sometimes it has the second Baishaje. Sometimes it has it just once, in analogy to the mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha when we say Om Muni Maha Munaya Soha. We don't say Maha Munaya twice. We just say it once. So sometimes like that, recognizing or symbolizing the 3 stages of the path. Raja Samud Gate Svaha. Okay, so we're going to recite this 7 times. And as we do, imagine again light from your heart and from the Medicine Buddha, who is still the original Medicine Buddha, who is still on your crown. Light radiates out, purifying you, purifying Bill and all sentient beings. Om Nama Bhagavate Vaishajya Guru Vaidurya Prabha Rajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishajya Maha Vaishajya Raja Samudgate Svaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishajya Guru Vaidurya Prabha Rajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishajya Maha Vaishajya Raja Samudgate Svaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishajya Guru Vaidurya Prabha Rajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishajya Maha Vaishajya Raja Samudgate Svaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishajya Guru Vaidurya Prabha Rajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishajya Maha Vaishajya Raja Samudgate Svaha. That's 4 recitations. The final 3 will recite the second will only recite but the second Vaishajya once. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishajya Guru Vaidurya Prabha Rajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishajya Maha Vaishajya Raja Samudgate Svaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishajya Guru Vaidurya Prabha Rajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishajya Maha Vaishajya Raja Samudgate Svaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishajya Guru Vaidurya Prabha Rajaya Tadagadaya, Arate, Samyak Sambudaya, Tadyata, Om, Bashaje, Bashaje, Maha Bashaje, Bash, Raja Samudgate, Svaha. Now we're going to recite 21 times just that last part of the long mantra. And again, we're going to recite it, the Maha Bashaje, just once, not with the second Bashaje. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. That's 7 recitations. So remember the visualization, light coming out from your heart, if you visualize yourself as Medicine Buddha, from the Medicine Buddha at your crown, radiating out to all sentient beings light and nectar, especially to Bill and to all sentient beings suffering with sickness and afflictions now. Then another 7. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. That's second recitation of 7. The last 7, think particularly requesting the Medicine Buddha to ripen the prayers that he made to benefit sentient beings, to eliminate the suffering of sickness, aging, and death, and all of the other sufferings of samsara and the afflictions, the causes of them. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Tadyata Om Bashaje Bashaje Maha Bashaje Raja Samudkate Svaha. Then going back to the sadhana, through the force of hearing the conqueror's name, in this case meaning the conqueror by Shajaguru and the others that we recited 7 times, which is said to be one of the most powerful things you could do at the time of death for someone who's dying, to recite the Medicine Buddha's names. Through the force of hearing the conqueror's name, expressing it, remembering, prostrating, and offering, may each and every sentient being, ourselves and others, become like you, graced with the 32 marks and the 80 indicative signs of a fully enlightened Buddha. May the light dispelling darkness, the enjoyment of wisdom, and skillful means be inexhaustible. May those attracted to mistaken and lesser paths enter the Mahayana path, and may all be beautified by their vows. May we be free from pain caused by immorality, be complete in faculties without disease, and have abundant resources. May those disillusioned with the weakest conditions always have powerful faculties. May we be freed from Mara's noose and perverse viewpoints. May those tormented by kings gain bliss, and those who out of hunger support themselves through negativity be satisfied with food and receive in accordance with the Dharma. It looks like there was one line missing there. Something in accordance with the Dharma, something. May hardships of heat and cold, such as we're experiencing in North Carolina right now, be pacified, and all good wishes be fulfilled. Endowed with morality that pleases the Aryas, may we be liberated. And when we pass away from this life, may we be born from a lotus in that Buddha field, qualities complete, become a vessel for transmitting the teachings of the conquerors, such as the medicine guru, king of doctors, and cause them delight. And then it says, feel great joy and think as follows. All sentient beings are transformed into aspects of the medicine Buddha Guru. So you can imagine that light that was emanated out, that hit all the sentient beings, the hell beings, the pretas, the animals, the humans of so many different varieties, the asuras, the devas of the desire realm, the form and formless realm, they all take the aspect of the medicine guru, Vaishanja Guru. How wonderful that I am now able to lead all sentient beings into the medicine Buddha's enlightenment. This is very important, this thought. This is like the thought of the completion stage, thinking, now I've accomplished the goal. This is what I set out to do, to be able to benefit all sentient beings, to bring them into enlightenment. And then, as in many of the sadhanas, there is a verse requesting forbearance or forgiveness of the Aryas and the Buddhas for any mistakes that we have made. Whatever I have done or caused to be done that was unprepared or degenerated, or done with my deluded mind, please be patient with all of these. Whatever the beings of this degenerate age have done of lesser merit mixed with ignorant delusions that did not fulfill the Arya's wishes, please be patient with these as well. Under the influence of miserliness, lack of skill, having made bad offerings or faulty arrangements, O protector endowed with great compassion, please be patient with these as well. Whatever was superfluous, in other words, whatever we added that was not part of this ritual, or that which was left undone, in other words, if we left out some verses or words, degeneration in parts of the practice or whatever was forgotten, please be patient with these as well. And then we're going to request the visualized medicine Buddhas to remain with the any images that we have of the medicine Buddha, or even remain within images of other Buddhas, of Shakyamuni himself. By remaining here together with this image, for the sake of migrators, may you grant us long life without illness, grant us power and supreme attainment. Om Supratishta Vajraye Svaha. This is the mantra that you imagine and the visualizations absorb into the image that you have. And then after the brief visualization. There's another dedication. Due to these merits, may I complete the ocean-like actions of the Bodhisattvas, the sons of the conquerors, sons of the victorious ones. May I become the holy savior, refuge, and helper for sentient beings who have repeatedly been kind to me in past lives. By the virtues received from attempting this practice, may all living beings who see, hear, touch, or remember me, even those who merely say my name, in that very moment be released from their miseries and experience happiness forever. So as the asterisk says there, this dedication verse includes your enemies, even when they repeat your name with anger. So, yeah, Rinpoche often says, as Shantideva says in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, blessing that whatever people meet me, repeat my name, think of me, may that very factor cause them to be released from their misery and experience everlasting happiness. As all sentient beings, infinite as space, are encompassed by Guru Buddha, Medicine Buddha's compassion. They fall within the sphere of his compassion without exception. May I too become the guide for sentient beings existing throughout all 10 directions of the universe. Because of these virtues, may I quickly become Guru Medicine Buddha and lead each and every sentient being into his enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. And long life prayer for the Dalai Lama. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezi Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. So we don't have the prayer for quick
I can, if you just give me a minute.
We'll do that at the end. But here
Okay.
we also recite this mantra to increase the merit of the practice of the recitations that we've just done. So we recite the first mantra once, the second mantra once, and then the third mantra 7 times. Chomdende, Dejin Shekpa, Da Chompa, Yang Dakpa, Zokpe Sange, Nampa Nangze, Oki Gelpola Chakselo. Then the second mantra once, Jangshub Sempa, Sempa Chempo, Kuntu Sangpola Chakselo. And the third mantra 7 times, Tadyata Panchagriya Ava Bodhani Svaha, Om Duru Duru Jaya Mukhe Svaha. Tadyata Panchagriya Ava Bodhani Svaha, Om Duru Duru Jaya Mukhe Svaha. Tadyata Panchagriya Ava Bodhani Svaha, Om Duru Duru Jaya Mukhe Svaha. Tadyata Panchagriya Ava Bodhani Svaha, Om Duru Duru Jaya Mukhe Svaha. Tadyata Panchagriya Ava Bodhani Svaha, Om Duru Duru Jaya Mukhe Svaha. Tadyata Panchagriya Ava Bodhani Svaha, Om Duru Duru Jaya Mukhe Svaha. And finally, Tadyata Panchagriya Ava Bodhani Svaha, Om Duru Duru Jaya Mukane Svaha. Then to actualize all our prayers as well as to multiply the benefits by 100,000, recite once, Chomdende, Dejin Shekpa, Da Chompa, Yang Dakpa, Zokpe Sange, Mengila, that means medicine Buddha, Baidurya Oki Gyalpola Chakselo. And then Chomdende, Dejin Shekpa, Da Chompa, Yang Dakpa, Zokpe Sange, Ngoadang Monlam Tamche Raptu Drupa Gyalpola Chaksalo. Due to the power of the blessings of the eminent Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, due to the power of the infallible dependent arising and the power of my pure special attitude, may all my pure prayers succeed immediately. Okay. Thank you for that. You can see the medicine Buddha there, I think, as I can see on my screen. So thank you for participating. Thanks. Oh no, I have that my own PDF of that up. That's not part of your thing there. Okay. So let's go back to our class now. So Bill, I guess is still here. I'm not sure if he and the rest of the family are going to participate in the rest.
Yes, we're still here. Yeah, yes, we're all here, and our friend Bill has joined us as well.
Okay, another Bill.
Yes, another Bill.
Yeah, right.
Bill's best friend in the whole world.
Okay, excellent. So thank you, class, for taking your time and energy and creating a karmic connection with Medicine Buddha and particularly for the welfare of Bill. And thanks to Bill for participating, and to Rebecca and William and his friend, another friend, Bill, for participating. So we're going to begin.
Thank you. I would like to thank all of you. I know this means so much to Bill. And as I said, his time with you has brought him great joy. And I express a deep bow of forever gratitude. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Rebecca. And thanks to Bill for being such a stalwart member of our class for so long. So we're going to begin now with our class from where we started last time, with just proviso first. Any questions? Any Dharma?
George, I was going to say, is this a good time for you to take a little break to stretch your legs?
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to take just a 4 or 5 minute break just to stretch my legs, as was suggested. It wasn't suggested by my doctor. It was suggested by my medical advisors. Okay, so I'll just take a minute. You can continue talking and discuss the Dharma. I'll just be right back.
Okay, I will pause the recording so people can chat if they wish.
Break. Good to see you again. Thanks for participating in our Medicine Buddha motivation for class today. And yeah, so before we begin, any Dharma questions, any Dharma itches you need scratched before we begin? How are we doing? Nadine? No Dharma itches? Okay, well, first, anyway, Anna.
Venerable, I have a quick question to ask you. I'm looking at the way of the Bodhisattva, and I noticed Shantideva in some of the chapters, like a verse will be said in quotations. What does it mean when a verse is in quotations?
Well, I'm not sure of the version you're reading. It could be that Shantideva himself quoted the sutras in various places. Or he may have been quoting some expression that was common knowledge. So that could be one reason. Can you give example of one of the things that's that is in quotation marks?
So in chapter 5, Vigilant Introspection, verse 39, just the one sentence of the verse, he'll say, my body shall remain like this. So that's in quotations, and then the next 3 lines are not.
Okay, so I think that's probably a quotation from a sutra. Does it not give a footnote on your page in your edition?
Not in this one. So there are footnotes in other verses, but not in that particular
Okay.
one. And then in quote verse 31, would you like, is it okay if I read it?
Yeah, okay. Well, quickly. Yeah.
He'll say, same chapter, he'll say, the Buddhas, and in quotation, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas both possess unclouded vision, seeing everything, all eyes open to their gaze, and likewise, I am always in their presence.
Yes, that's probably a quotation from a sutra also. So you might check other translations of that text, the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, to see if those other translations mention where those quotations come from. But I think that's probably what it is, Anna. So Nadine.
Oh, thank you, Venerable George. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, thank you. I found a misprint, a printing error in Thupten Jinpa's book on page 184, the
Okay.
10th line. It mentions translations, everyday translations. That is the wrong word. It's wrong. Translations. It has to be transactions.
Oh,
Quite sure.
okay. So I'm not sure because I don't have the written text here with me. I have the electronic version. So is it someplace that we are about to go
Yes.
to? Or is it?
Yes.
Okay, so
I think we will get there today.
okay, so when we get there, you mentioned that. Okay. So I thought you were going to ask about the whether the mere I is an illustration of the self. Remember, that's where
Yes,
we ask
from the
you.
discussion group.
Oh, what was it in the discussion group? It wasn't in our last class. Okay, so what does the class think? According to the Vaibhashikas and the Sautrantikas, an illustration of the person can be the collection of the five aggregates or the mental consciousness. According to Chittamatra, the illustration of the person is the alaya vijnana, which is what we call the foundation consciousness. According to Svatantrika Yogacaras, maybe they also accept that, or the Sautrantika Yogacara Svatantrikas accept the continuum of the mental consciousness as an illustration of the person, something that you can find. So what about the Prasangika? What's an illustration of the person, Paul, for Prasangika?
I knew you were going to ask me. Illustration of the person in Prasangika.
So Nadine had proffered in our discussion group last Monday that an illustration of the person was the mere I. Mere I is that expression that will be coming up more and more. Not the I which is conceived to be inherently existent, but the mere I is you could say mere person, mere sentient being, mere being, all the synonyms of I, self, mere self, which is merely imputed upon the collection of the five aggregates. That's the mere I. So she had proposed that as an illustration of the person for Prasangika. So would you agree with her?
It sounds reasonable.
Okay, you have the ability to ask one expert, like in the quiz shows. You can either ask Stephen or John or Richard. I don't know. We don't have everyone here today. We have some other experts.
Sure. Let's see what my Swami friend John says about this issue.
Sure. And what is the mere I an illustration of the person for Prasangika?
The mere eye illustration of a person. Can you
Oh,
say again what, because I got in a moment late, so I have to, am I allowed one quiz show answer, question for the game show host?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
which is, what was the Vaibhashika's
Well,
illustration?
the Vaibhashikas say that the person is the, well, various subsects, but anyway, generally the collection of the five aggregates,
Right, the
or
collection of aggregates.
the Sautrantikas maybe the what mental consciousness. This Chittamatra posit an illustration of the person, something that you can find that is actually the person is the alaya vijnana when you get down to it. Or the Sautrantikas, Svatantrikas say the continuum of the mental consciousness. Somewhere there's something you can point to out there that is inherently existent, generally,
Hmm.
which is an illustration of the person.
So the person would be, this is gonna be my guess, is that the person is no different than the, the illustration of any other conventional object, which is Ming Dang Dokbe Dakzam, the imputation of name and concept.
Okay, so you're saying that is an illustration. The mere eye is an illustration of the person. Anyone else have what do you think, Jennifer? Do you have an idea? You have your thinking mudra on there.
Yeah, thinking may not be correct. Now I was just trying to go back to what you have described as the illustration of the person, which you meant the actual person, something that is inherent existent. So wouldn't the Prasangikas say that there would be no illustration of the person if
Well,
that were the definition?
I added in inherent existence because all of those lower schools presuppose that the illustration is inherently existent. They wouldn't necessarily say it is inherently existent, but yeah, Prasangika doesn't would not accept anything that's inherently existent. But let's say the mere I is not inherently existent, right? So couldn't that be an illustration of the person for Prasangika?
And could you just clarify then, how would you define illustration of the person according to Prasangika?
Okay, so here, yes, good point. So illustration in Tibetan senshi can mean sometimes an instance of something. For instance, you can say a vase is an illustration of an impermanent phenomena because it's an instance of an impermanent phenomena. But that's not the meaning here. When we say an illustration of the person, that's not the meaning. That is an instance of the person. The illustration sometimes loosely can mean that what we say in syllogisms, in logical arguments, we have an example that's given. Sometimes you can loosely call that an illustration. For instance, an example in a syllogism, sound is impermanent because it's a product. Sound is impermanent because it's a product. And then you could give an example, like something, which would be either an illustration or an example. It's something that you can realize the syllogism on, the predicate on, before you realize that actual syllogism. But that's not what's meant here. And maybe some of you followed that. Some of you say, what is he talking about? Anyway, here, an illustration is something that you can point to as the person or the self or the I or the sentient being, or all of the synonyms of person. For Prasangika, the mere I is not something you could point to. It's not something you can find by definition. The mere I is merely imputed on the collection of the aggregates there's nothing, and it is arrived at having realized that there is no inherently existent self, no inherently existent I, and arising from that meditative equipoise, the Bodhisattva, previously logically understanding this also, but has clear understanding that the way that the I exists is just as a name imputed. There's nothing else you can find. So an illustration is supposed to be something that you can find, and the mere I, by definition, is not something you can find. Okay, so this is a subtle point, but Sister Nadine, one of our scholars in our class, brought that up. As I asked the question, and she proposed that. So I thought that was worth clarifying that a little bit. Okay, what do you think? Oh, Mikhail.
Yeah, thank you. I think John Patekshuk agrees that the illustration of the person is the mere I.
Oh, yeah? Where does he say that? I was just talking to Venerable Steve this morning, who translated for Geshe Tetsuk for decades, and he said also in his opinion, the mere I was not an illustration of the person. Where are you reading from Geshe Tetsuk's teachings?
Insight into emptiness. Insight into emptiness. I can send you the page if you want to.
Oh, can you read what he said there?
Sorry, I'm reading the French.
I think Stephen has
sorry.
gotten out his edition of Insight into Meditation. What page is it on? Mikhail?
Oh, I don't know, because I have the French version here.
Oh, okay. You have the French version. Okay. So what does it say?
Let me check.
Oh, you have to translate it into English. Okay.
Yeah, it's on chapter 6, illustration of the person. Sorry, I need a few minutes to find.
Okay, no. We'll do later. You can send it as a message later. Okay, so there may be some disagreement, but generally it's accepted that the word illustration, when you talk about the illustration of the person, is something that you can find. And when you search the aggregates, within the aggregates or outside the aggregates, there's no I that you can find. And that brings about the realization of emptiness. And then arising from that, one realizes that the I still exists somehow conventionally, and that it exists only as the mere terminology, the mere name I, or you could say the mere I. I've mentioned a couple of times in class over the years when the Dalai Lama gave a group interview to, I think, Tushita, when I was there, the people who were staying at Tushita Retreat Center in Dharamsala in McLeodganj. And Jeffrey Hopkins was translating, and the Dalai Lama said that a table is not the collection of the parts. He went into detail. It's not the legs, the top, and so forth. It's not separate from them. It's just a mere name. And then intrepid nerd, George, raised his hand and said, and Jeffrey translated, His Holiness understood English. So what is that? If the table is not the parts, not the collection of parts, is not something different than that, what's the table? And the Dalai Lama chuckled and said, it's something inexpressible. What the table is, how the table actually exists. It's just a mere imputation by name and thought. So Paul, what do you think?
I was just going to say I found the passage in Insight into Emptiness.
Okay.
Let's see where to he's an example of microphone, right? So we find ourselves having to accept that the microphone is merely labeled in dependence on the assembly of parts. Similarly, a person exists. A person is born, dies, experiences happiness and suffering. A person exists in life after life in cyclic existence. But if we ask, what is the person that does all these activities? The Prasangikas say that upon analysis, there's nothing we can point to as being the person.
Okay, stop right there. Stop right there. So there's nothing you can point to as what? As
being the person.
As being the person. Okay, continue.
We cannot find anything that is a real person that continues from life to life. We are left with the conclusion that the I is empty of inherent existence. At the same time, the person is empty of inherent existence. The person still exists. What is the person that exists but is empty? It is the mere I. The mere I is the person that exists by being merely imputed by name and concept. It is nothing more or less than that. It exists, and yet when we search with ultimate analysis to find it, we cannot.
Right. So nowhere there did he say that's an illustration of the person. He said the mere I is the person, right?
Right.
Except on page 79, he actually does say that Prasangikas say the mere I is the illustration of the person.
Who's reading that?
I was reading that. Sorry for interrupting. On page 79, at least in this, at least the ebook version that I have, paragraph on page, it's the first full paragraph on page 79. Sorry, the second full paragraph. In contrast to each of the lower schools that posit something among the aggregates to be the person, the Prasangikas say the mere I is the illustration of the person. That is, the mere I is what creates karma, experiences its results, circles in cyclic existence, and attains liberation.
Right. Okay. So there the use. So I believe that was edited by Venerable Tupten Sridhar. And there was, I'm not sure if that was actually what Geshe-la said. Generally, in the later section that was read, that Paul read, it said that the mere I is the person, not an illustration. Usually the word illustration means that which you can find. So we'll leave that discussion there. Something more for you to think about. So we're going to continue with where we left off last class. How are we doing? Everyone okay? Headache? No? Okay. So on page 183 of Jimpa and 178 of Anne Klein's translation, get the right page here. This is where we said we would start next time. Now, insofar as the way Vaz and so on are conceptually posited, they are, in that respect, at least exactly similar to a snake imputed on the basis of a rope. Or as Anne's translation, where is this now?
Third paragraph from the top, 178, or second complete paragraph from the top. Mere factor of how a pot and so forth.
Right. The mere fact, so Anne translates what Jimpa begins a sentence, now insofar as the way of Vaz and so forth are conceptually posited, she says, the mere factor of how a pot and so forth are posited by conceptuality. So this is leading on also to what John was just reading from that other section in Geshe Tekchok's book about emptiness. The mere factor of how a pot and so forth are posited by conceptuality. So phenomena are posited by thoughts and words. Remember, we talked about last time, also by even by other kinds of terminology, such as pointing or sign language or something like that. The mere factor of how a pot and so forth are posited by conceptuality is similar to the imputation of a rope as a snake, or imputation of a rope on a snake. Okay. However, and in Jimpa's translation also he has, however, Jimpa's translation says, however, between the vase and so on the one hand, and the rope snake on the other, a rope snake. So that means, mistaking the rope for the snake, right? Thinking that there's a snake there. Between the vase and so on one hand, and the rope snake on the other, the two cases are entirely different when it comes to whether they exist, right? The vase that you impute conceptually does exist conventionally, doesn't exist ultimately, it exists conventionally, but the rope snake, or the horns of a rabbit, or the son of a barren woman, do not exist. The rope snake does not exist. They're completely different when it comes to whether they exist. And then Jimpa continues, whether they are capable of effective functions and so on. So Anne translates that, we haven't got to the hard part yet, this is still simple. However, when those two, a pot and so forth, and a rope snake, exist or not, are able to perform functions and so forth, are not at all similar. So a rope snake can't bite you. You could say, oh, a rope snake can cause fear in the same way that you have fear of a snake, but that's not from its own side. That's your mistaken apprehension of it, right? It can't, the rope snake can't wiggle away, go into some, little dark place where it lives, or into the bushes, or it can't bite you and so forth. It can't perform a function. So Jimpa's text says, this is because there is this clear distinction between the two, and whether their conventions remain essential for everyday transaction, and whether the usage of such conventions is susceptible to invalidation. Does that make sense? Stephen, you're nodding. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. What does that mean? When I first read that, I had no idea what he was talking about.
Well, then I could be terribly mistaken then, Venerable George. But I think what it means is essential for everyday transactions, so that we can communicate on a basic level about whether that rope can bite me or not, and then whether the usage of such conventions is susceptible to invalidation. So if another valid cognition could contradict what we were talking about before. That's how I understand it.
But your first thing, this is because there's this clear distinction between the two, and whether their conventions remain essential for everyday transaction. Can you say again what that you think that means?
It means, I take transaction to mean that we can communicate on the same level about the snake or the rope. We have an agreement or a convention.
This is talking about the rope snake versus the vase.
Right.
And they're completely different.
Yeah. And so
there's a clear distinction. There's a difference between the two, and whether their conventions remain essential for everyday transaction. Okay, leave that. Let's read what Anne translates that as. This is because they are in all ways not equivalent. That means vases and so forth that are conventionally existent, and the rope snake, which is just a false imputation, right? This is because they are in all ways not equivalent in terms of whether or not the designations of those two must be made. That's her translation of his phrase, remain essential for everyday transaction. She just says, whether or not the designations of those two must be made, whether or not making those designations is invalidated, and she says by conventional cognition, that's what we know, and so forth. So if you were to delve into the Tibetan of that phrase, the Tibetan says, I don't know if John and Paul have the Tibetan of that. It says Deni ki tane, so that means the conventions of those two. Ngepa ja go migo dang. So whether or not it's necessary to nepar jago, where there's a nepar ja, which means should be understood. So I take it to mean something like this. So Klein says, however, whether those two, a pot and so forth, and a rope snake exist or not, or do not exist, in the Tibetan it says yome, whether they exist or do not exist, are able to perform a function, chache, chepar, nu, minu, sok, and so forth. They're not at all similar. This is because, what's the reason they're not at all similar? This is because they are in all ways not equivalent in terms of whether or not the designations of those two must be made. That's the Tibetan, the designations of those two, Deni Kitane, Nepar Chago Migo. She just translates the go migu, must be made, leaving off the Nepar Ja. I think what Chimpa is getting at here is that, let me get back to his big type here. This is because there is this clear distinction between the two in whether, so we're talking about vases and rope snakes, right? Whether their conventions remain essential for everyday transaction, whether they remain essential for everyday transaction. I don't think that gets to the point here. I think what it's saying is that when you talk about the conventionalities, you cannot realize the rope snake. The Nepar Ja means that which is to be, what we say in Tibetan.
That which is to be ascertained, right?
Yes, that which is to be ascertained, that which is to be understood. So you can't ascertain the rope snake, but you can ascertain the vase. Anyway, that particular section is a little bit, probably could deal with a little bit more, what would we say, sort of commentary. Okay, so let's leave that there. So we're going to continue. That everyday transactions, so that means talking about the world and dealing with the world in the conventional sense, right? That everyday transactions remain tenable in this world, posited through conceptualization, represents among the commentators of the words and meanings of the Madhyamaka treatises a unique tradition of interpreting the noble Nagarjuna and his son by the three masters Buddhipalita, Shantideva, and the master Chandrakirti. So what is that saying? Everyday transactions remain tenable in this world, posited through conceptualizations. That particular fact means this is the famous thing that we encounter so many times in the three principles of the path and in some of the glance meditation in the Guru Puja. There is, like in Guru Puja says, please grant me blessings to understand the ultimate intent of Nagarjuna, that although there's not even an atom of inherent existence, still the law of cause and effect, dependent arising, is infallible. This is sort of like the very, what does he say here? Chippa says, this issue of how everyday transactions remain possible in a world posited through conception is indeed the most difficult point of the final view of the middle way, the Madhyamaka view, that although phenomena are empty of inherent existence, they still function conventionally. They appear and they have a causal relationship. They're not just like they appear and they're complete illusions. If you kill someone, you will have a karmic consequence of that in the future. Even though the act of killing was empty of inherent existence, the other person was empty of inherent existence, you've created the karma. You have to go to jail, go directly to jail. Do not collect $200 in Monopoly terminology. I don't know if anyone still plays Monopoly. Okay, so let's see how Anne reads that. The feasibility of an object's respective functionality within the context of being posited by conceptuality is an uncommon mode of commentary by Buddhapalita, Shantideva, and the master Chandrakirti from among the commentators on the words and meanings of the works of the two. So particularly Buddhapalita, Shantideva, and Chandrakirti, unlike, let's say, Bhavaviveka and some others, their point was, even though phenomena are empty of inherent existence, we could leave off Bhavaviveka, right? Because he says phenomena are inherently existent conventionally. Even though they are empty of inherent existence, they still function. So the feasibility of an object's functionality, the fact that it's feasible, that it can function within the context of being posited by conceptuality and understood here in this sentence, and the fact that they are ultimately empty of inherent existence, is an uncommon mode of commentary by Buddhapalita, Shantideva, and the master Chandrakirti from among the commentators on the words and meanings of the works of the two, the father, superior Nagarjuna, and his spiritual son, Aryadeva. Just this is also the final difficult point in the view of the Madhyamika school. How are we doing? Is it making sense? Sasha, you're completely lost? Okay, that's good.
No, I am
I
lost.
think-
Yes.
It's good because you have to go back and figure it out. John, what do you think?
No, it's not any insight. I think though there's a typo in Thupten Jinpa's translation. Just in that last sentence, should it not say this issue of how everyday transactions remain possible in a world?
Is that
Do you think that's
what
it should
Nadine
supposed
was
to-
talking about? Is that the place?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. It was already pointed out. Yeah, I think that's gotta be-
Translations, yeah, it should be transactions, right?
Yeah, right.
Anyone who's keeping track of the errors, the small mistakes we found in Jimpa's translation can make note of that. This issue of how everyday transactions remain possible in the world, posited through conception. So that was what Nadine had noticed earlier. Bintu, what do you think? You making sense to you? All clear?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. Eventually, maybe.
Even this most difficult point of the final view of the middle way, it's all clear, right?
I mean, it just like I think it's sort of understandable ish, but I have a question.
Okay.
If I may. So basically in the way I sort of understanding was that, you know, if there is an essential sense of self somewhere,
If there is a what?
there is an essential sense of self somewhere inside your mind.
Wait, wait,
There's
wait, wait. I can't understand. Essential, are you saying?
Sense of self, sense of
sense of
self.
self.
Yourself.
Sense of
There
self.
is okay, again, Minto, if there
Yeah.
is,
If there is a sense of self somewhere that can keep track of your karma that is immutable, that's unchangeable, then basically, you know, Buddha cannot help you. But everything is just imputation. Then why can Buddha, you know, who with all the power sort of blast us into enlightenment? Why don't we just get free enlightenment? But why do we have to keep up, you
yeah,
know,
so you
looking
did,
through our karma and you know, be on earth with this sort of like global warming and all this.
yeah, okay. So that shows that what you said, you did indeed understand the most difficult point of the final view of the middle way. This shows that you did not understand that, because even though things are empty of inherent existence, they're merely imputed by mind. Conventional phenomena, the law of dependent arising, we say Tyndall, is infallible. You use the word immutable. I'm not sure that's right. Usually immutable means unchangeable. That's not the change. The law of cause and effect, independent arising, are infallible. That means if you create virtuous actions, they can only ripen in the future in something which is pleasant. If you create negative actions, they can only ripen in experience of suffering. They can't ripen in something which is pleasant. You might think, you know, cheating, you know, and stealing and so forth, because it gets you the money, you can do something good. But the karma that you create that's going to ripen later is going to be the nature of suffering. Okay, so this final point, difficult point, is mentioned in many places. Diana, 1 second, is mentioned in many places, and it's the fact that within emptiness, although phenomena are empty of inherent existence, conventional existence still functions properly. The law of cause and effect, or more precisely, dependent arising, is infallible. So the Buddha can't, as the Buddha said in the Dharmapada and other places, the Buddhas can't transmit their they don't wash away your sins with water, like the Hindus believed by bathing in the Ganges you would wash away your sins. They don't transmit realizations by hand, you know, like putting their hand on your head, or you're thinking they don't even have to do that. They can just do it some other way. Just like, you know, I've been blessed by the Lama. Now I realize. They can't transmit realizations like that. What's the third line? There's another one. They show the way. They don't wash away sins like bathing in the Ganges. They don't transmit blessings by hand. Is there another line? Anyone? Okay, anyway.
I think
Before,
it's transfer your mind.
say again?
The Buddha can't transfer the Buddha's mind into the mind of another directly. Is that the third one?
I think that's within. They can't grant blessings by hand. Anyway, so that's the sense of that. Although phenomena are empty of inherent existence, they're merely imputed. They still function. The Buddha can't intervene and change global warming and you know, and so forth like that. So before Mintu continues, Diana, you had a question? Diana Brahma?
That correction has been made in the digital copy.
Oh, yeah?
transaction
Oh,
exists
yeah.
in the digital copy.
Oh, yeah? My digital copy had how everyday translations remain possible in the world.
I've got transaction at least twice.
Okay, that you don't have this sentence. This issue, then bracket, of how everyday translations remain possible in a world posited through conception, end bracket. You don't have that sentence?
It's the last sentence of that paragraph.
Is indeed the most difficult point of the final view of the middle way. Anyway, okay.
It does, it's correct twice and wrong the third time.
Right, okay.
Okay.
That's okay. So Minto, you still had something to disgorge.
Oh no, I just basically this is one of the complaint that my Hindu Indian friends sometimes told me about Buddhists. They say that these Buddhist teachings are very good, but they're so technical, so systematic, But if everything is dependent on rising and no existence, why can't Buddha just nuclear blast you into enlightenment automatically? It's like
This is from your Hindu friends, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, they say that if Buddhas are omniscient and compassionate, and everything it have no inherent existence, why can't Buddha just nuclear blast you into enlightenment and you're
Right. Nuclear slap.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's good. I like that terminology. So those are your Vietnamese Hindu friends. So
Indian Hindu friends.
Oh, Indian Hindu friends. Okay. Okay. So we've got that far. How does that section feel to you? Is that okay? Ready? Well, we still have another paragraph, or a couple paragraphs. Okay, let's continue. So Jimpa says, understood thus, then as the precious garland states, nothing whatsoever, not even mere names, exist on the ultimate level. Not even mere names exist on the ultimate level. So when we're talking about how the person exists conventionally as a mere name or conception, or the mere I, on the ultimate level, even the mere I does not exist. The mere names do not exist. Okay? That means within emptiness, there's no apprehension of anything like that, because the mere I is a conventional phenomena. It's generally, although there's some debate about it also, it is generally, whether the mere I is the illustration or not, but there's more debate about whether the mere I is the conventional self, whether there's a difference between the conventional I and the mere I, but generally they're the same. So in emptiness, no conventionalities appear, right? Only emptiness appears. So understood thus then as the precious garland states, nothing whatsoever, not even the mere names, exist on the ultimate level. And on the conventional level too, nothing exists other than what are posited as mere designations through conventions and names, or he says, such as names. As Anne says, this being the case, Nagarjuna's precious garland, and she refers to stanzas 99 and 100, which we're going to read now, says that even mere nominality does not exist ultimately. She says mere nominality, he says mere names. And that nothing exists except for only being posited conventionally through the force of nominal conventions. Okay? So then the Jimpa translates those two verses and another verse, starting, because material things are mere names, or as Anne says, because phenomena of forms are only names, the space too is a mere name. Anne translates that as uncompounded space too is only a name. Jimpa continues, how can there be matter with no elements? Or as Anne says, without elements, how could forms exist? And final line, therefore, mere names too do not exist. Or as Anne says, therefore, even name onlyness does not inherently exist. She adds in parentheses or in brackets, inherently. So his last line, therefore, mere names too do not exist. It doesn't mean that mere names don't exist conventionally. They do exist conventionally. The mere I and so forth, mere names and conventions, but they don't exist inherently. Then the next verse of Precious Garland says, feelings, discriminations, mental formations, and consciousness. Feelings, discriminations, mental formations, and consciousness. Those are the 4 of the 5 aggregates which are not form, right? Feelings, discriminations, mental formations, and consciousness. Contemplate these just like the elements or the self. Therefore, the 6 elements have no selfhood. Or as Anne translates that, feeling, discriminations, compositional factors, and consciousness are to be considered as like the elements and the self. What does that mean? The elements and so forth that we saw before, they are just merely imputed, and the self is merely imputed. Hence, the 6 constituents are selfless. She translates elements as constituents. And then the next verse says, apart from being designated by conventions, other than being designated by names and conventions, how could there be a world in reality as either existent or non-existent? And translates, except for being a convention designated, a designated convention, what world exists in fact? And then she has in brackets, that is ultimately, end bracket, which would be is or is not, or he says exists or not exists. Okay, so the gist of this is saying, it's just reaffirming this, that on the conventional level, phenomena exist as mere imputations, and the imputations can either be verbal by names or simply mental, like in a cow or a baby thinking about something without attributing a name, or a combination of the both when the two are suitable to be mixed, the name and the concept. On the ultimate level, none of these things that appear conventionally existent, that exist conventionally, they all appear by nature, due to the imprints in our minds, as inherently existent. On the ultimate level, none of them exist inherently. Okay, Snehi, what are you thinking?
Venerable George, I was just thinking through the reasoning of that quote from Precious Garland, which says, because material things are mere names. So material things are mere names, and space too is considered to be a material thing. So that also is a mere name.
No,
But then it's,
space is not a material thing. Space,
so is that,
space is not material, right? Material means form, and space is form.
okay.
But anyway, go on.
So the first statement is first line is just making a statement that all material things that we think of are just designated. Space too is also designated.
Right. And
then the third line.
The connection between those two is that in the same way that phenomena are named upon the basis of designation, which have parts, in the same way, because space can be understood to have parts, east, west, north, south, it too is merely a name. That's the connection between those two.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the third line,
Right.
and then the third line is also making the point that whatever we think of matter can also be deconstructed into its constituent elements and parts.
Right.
And then the fourth line, therefore mere names too do not exist. So that's what I was thinking, is what is the link between the first three statements and then the fourth one? Are they just saying that because they're
Right.
all just designated, therefore nothing inherently exists?
So yeah, so the fourth line in Jimpa's translation doesn't give the commentary there. Maybe there's commentary coming, I'm not sure. So in Anne's translation, she has in brackets in that fourth line, therefore even name onlyness, phenomena are only names, the state of being only names does not inherently exist. Jimpa just says does not exist. He doesn't have the bracketed commentary inherently exist. So the fact that phenomena are merely imputed by name and concepts, that state, that ness, name onlyness, it does not exist inherently. In emptiness, the fact that phenomena are mere names, that does not exist in emptiness because that is a conventional phenomena. The fact that phenomena are imputed by names and concepts. I've lost where you are. Does that make sense? Oh.
Yeah, so the first three lines are basically, to me, saying because you can deconstruct all these things, so they don't inherently exist,
Right.
and mere names are imputed on things that can be deconstructed or imputed, so they do not inherently exist.
And even the mere names themselves do not inherently exist.
Right.
Right. So,
yeah.
So even in the further one and above the third line, when it said, I remember going at her. The
How can there be matter?
Name. It's Anne's translation is without the elements, how could forms exist? And Jimpa says, how could there be matter with no elements? So you could put the word inherently, without the elements, how could forms inherently exist? Therefore, even name onlyness does not inherently exist. So none of the phenomena, although the phenomena exist conventionally as mere names and concepts, that fact, the lack of being other than mere names and concepts, being that phenomena have any other kind of existence other than being imputed by names and thoughts, that's their conventional existence. That conventional existence, another way of saying, does not exist in emptiness because it is not inherently existent. Well, nothing is inherently existent. It would only, upon ultimate analysis, it would only stand up to analysis if it was inherently existent. And it is not, it doesn't stand up to ultimate analysis.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's you have to think about this, think about these. Let's continue in Jimpa's text. If one understands these well, okay, we're not quite to the state where we understand these well. Mintu, polluted by his Indian Hindu friends, especially. I'm just teasing Mintu. Okay. If one understands these well, one will soundly comprehend, one, how phenomena are necessarily posited through dependence. So when we say posited, that means how their conventional existence is understood. It is posited through dependence on their basis of designation, right? They're imputed upon their basis of designation. Two, one will come to understand, if you understand this well, how by the very virtue of their being dependently designated and having arisen through dependence, they have no existence in their own right. So this is also talking about this non-contradiction. In fact, one affirms the other, the fact that phenomena are dependent arisings. They are dependently designated, and having arisen through dependence, they have no existence in their own right. They have no inherent existence. Because if anything arises in dependence on something else, it is not inherently existent by definition. Something that's inherently existent would be something that has no dependence on anything else and exists just by itself, it exists. Okay, and third point, if you understand this well, you will understand how they do not possess an independent nature, something not posited through the power of some other conventions. They have no independent nature or svabhava. And four, he labels them as four, and splits them up in just three. Anyway, four, no matter the phenomenon, when it is posited as existent, it is done so without analysis, without seeking a true referent or mikvah behind the designation. So in other words, this we know, we've heard before, but just in different words, maybe it sounds strange. If something is posited to exist, it's posited to exist conventionally. It is done so without analysis. That is, if we're looking for, who's here? If we're looking for Anna, if we go to, I can't remember where Anna's living now, let's say Arizona or someplace. Or where are you living, Anna? I forgot.
Prince Edward Island, Canada.
Oh, in Canada. I always mistake that you're in Canada. So if you're looking for Anna, you say, where's Anna? She's in Canada. That is conventional analysis. And we say, where is it? She's on this island in Canada. It's called so-and-so. That's conventional analysis, no problem. You go to that place, that island, where it's this village, this house, this room. You walk into the room, and there with the blackboard and all these other things, you say, where's Anna? And you point Anna, and you say, that's Anna. That's legitimate. That's conventional analysis. But if you try to seek the true referent object, the true illustration of Anna, behind that, that becomes ultimate analysis, which always leads to, if done correctly, always leads to the realization that there is no inherently existent Anna. Or as here it says, no matter the phenomenon, when it is posited as existent, it is done so without analysis. That means without ultimate analysis. You can do conventional analysis. Where is Anna? Who is Anna? She's a girl with the glasses, with the blackboard next to her, or whatever. That's not considered when he says analysis here. So Anne translates those points that Jimpa divided into four. She divides it into three. The first being that all phenomena must be posited dependently. This is on page 179 in her translation. So that links with Jimpa's translation. How phenomena are necessarily posited through dependence. She says all phenomena must be posited dependently, dependent on their basis of designation, their parts, and so forth. Two, which is probably what Jimpa divides into 2 and 3, that because they are just dependently imputed and dependently produced, they are not established by way of their own entity and do not have self-powered entity, do not have a self-powered entity, self-powered nature, which is not posited through the force of conventions which are other than themselves. So he divides that into two. And then the final one, that no matter what phenomenon is posited as existing, it is posited in the context of not seeking the object imputed. So I think she has correctly here, not seeking. He says done without analysis. So I think, do I have the Tibetan of that right there? Yeah.
Yeah, it says Dr. Matsewa.
Yeah. Chig Kang Yopa Choknaang Takdong Mitselwe. Yeah, selwa means searching or seeking. So for instance, when you try to seek what the actual Anna is, that's when you enter into ultimate analysis. Jimpa put in the word here without analysis, so it's not that's not exactly right. It should be without seeking. It is done so without analysis, without seeking a true referent behind the designation. No matter what phenomena is posited as existing, and translates, it is posited in the context of not seeking the object imputed. Okay, so we've gone a little bit over difficult topics, hard subject, and as one who said here before, what was talking about the sort of like difficult. This is indeed the most difficult point of the final view of the middle way. So we should be humble and not think, oh yeah, I've got this most difficult point of the final view down pat. Okay. So how are we doing? Anyone have any questions before we finish? Jennifer, you're thinking. Well, Stephen has a question immediately. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Venerable George. Yeah, so I'm just trying to match up what you just said with what Geshe Jampa Tekchok said. And he said it on page 78. He said, therefore, the Prasangikas insist that when you search for the person who cycles in cyclic existence and who attains liberation, you cannot find it. You cannot identify something that definitely is the person. There, I believe that would be ultimate analysis. You can't, when they say definitely, it's
right. You can't identify.
Yeah. And then on page 79, which John kindly pointed out, where it then says, the Prasangikas say the mere I is the illustration of the person. So now we're talking about at the conventional level, I think.
Right. But still, generally, this is a difficult point, and some, checking with both my colleagues, Venerable Steve and Jeremy, who studied these things, they both had the same feeling that I did, that that when you say the illustration of the person, an illustration is something that you can find, when seeking it. So it could be that other people, that other scholars say, you don't have to have that additional statement there, that it can serve as an illustration of the person, but it's a subtle point. Okay.
Yeah, and Venerable George, it goes on to say, that is, the mere I is what creates karma, experiences its results, circles in cyclic existence, and attains liberation. to me, that doesn't really make sense because the mere I is just a mere designation. It's just a conventionality.
Right, right. So
How
that's
can a
again,
label do all of that?
right, right. So that will come later. So for instance, also in the section refuting the Chittamatra in Lama Tsongkhapa's, in this text, there's a big section refuting the Chittamatra view. And one of the views of the Chittamatra is that in order for karma to bring a result in your continuum later, it has to be deposited somewhere. And they say, rather than the lower schools saying that it's deposited on the mind or something else, or in the Abhidharma, they talk about something, acquisition and so forth. They say that the Chittamatra says that the karma is deposited on the alaya vijnana. Okay. But the Prasangika says, Chandrakirti himself says that the karma is deposited on the mere I. So that even goes beyond your doubt here. How can the mere I, which is a mere imputation, create actions and so forth? So that subtlety we'll go into that in more detail, but that's a good that you brought that up now. So how could the mere I, which is a mere imputation, do these things? So in some people's view, the mere I is the conventional I. Okay, might be some difference because the conventional I, when, like the example I give of the blacksmith saying, "Oh, that's my horse over there," without thinking that horse is inherently existent or empty of inherent existence, just a conventional horse. That may not be, he may not be thinking of the mere horse. But anyway, it's something to think about. Last question, Snehi. I don't want to go too much longer. You're all exhausted. You spent a lot of time in our puja.
Well, Richard, so on this question of the illustration of the person, and you said normally it's understood as there should be something findable.
Right. This
Correct?
is one position, right?
Right. So if you take that position, then to ask Prasangika what is the illustration of a person is almost incoherent because for them there is nothing findable.
Right.
So
Okay.
there is no illustration of the person in Prasangika. Is that what you're saying, Venerable George? This is Paul.
That is one position. That's what I was bringing up at the beginning. There are there are other, because it's you're dealing in philosophical points here. There's others who say that you don't have to have the meaning of illustration. That illustration could mean just an instance of something. Like, for instance, I said before, a pot or vase is an illustration of an impermanent phenomena in the sense that it is a instance, an example of an impermanent phenomena, an instance of that. So some people say it's that is sufficient, but generally, there are teachers, like say at the dialectic school, the teachers say that's not the meaning of illustration here, that it's an instance. Instance means something that you can, illustration means something that you can find through analysis like that. Okay, so a lot to think about. Thank you so much for participating in the puja for William. I think it meant a lot to him. Also, we created a lot of virtue, which we're going to dedicate now. Snehi, would you like to do the honors with the prayers? So just below, I think dedication comes just below that, right? Gewadi Nyududan Lama Sam Droa Chikyang Malupa Dei Sala Kupasho Changchup Semcho Grimpoche Make Panam Ke Gyurchik Ke Panyampa Me Payang Gune Gontu Pelbarsho. Peerless teacher and assembly of children of the victorious ones, Shravakas, Pratika Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, together with your lineage, all the objects of refuge of the infinite realms, please bestow the virtue and goodness to accomplish this prayer. In holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable venerable Guru, to you I make this request. Sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, while striving exclusively for both the welfare of the conqueror's teachings and for mother sentient beings, you suddenly departed to peace. At this, I was bereft. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the oceanic blessings of the three jewels and the great waves of the bodhicitta of the bodhisattvas, may a smile of a new reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for us fortunate disciples. And then for all our spiritual friends, you who are my eyes for viewing all the infinite scriptures, the supreme gateway for fortunate ones traveling to liberation, engaging with skillful means, moved by mercy, all illuminating spiritual friends, please live long and stable lives. So thank you. Please seal those conventional dedications and prayers in the emptiness of the three spheres. You yourself, the dedicator, the act of dedication does not inherently exist, although it functions, this most difficult point of the Madhyamika. Although empty of inherent existence, they still function conventionally. The goals dedicated to do not exist inherently, but they still are attainable. They do not exist inherently. And the act of dedication can't be found anywhere when searching within its parts. It is not inherently existent, yet it still functions to link these virtues, merits, and collection of wisdom to their ultimate aims. Okay, thank you so much. Looking forward on Monday, hopefully to seeing you if my electricity doesn't go off. I had 21 hours without electricity the other day. And it was it was like about 5 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's like 15 degrees, minus 15 Celsius. As I mentioned in the prelude before, I'm encased in my cabin, very comfortable here as long as there's electricity, but I can't get out. The road is completely snowed in and iced over. So it's probably till next Wednesday or so. So my suggestion is don't hold anyone captive, whether you collect insects or something against their will. I think that might be one of the causes. When I collected my wasps in my house, I would keep them in these plastic containers next to a statue of Vajrayogini for some time. But maybe that's why I'm encased in my cabin here. Anyway, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing some of you on Monday. Anyway, next Saturday, look forward to seeing you in class. Thank you so
Venerable George.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Venerable George.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
Venerable
you.
George.
Thank
Thank you, Venerable George.
George. Thank you, Sine.
Yesterday.